Hi, I'm Jeremy Crosby.
And I'm Nick Boucher. We're your hosts for the program that's all about your city, Talking Fitchburg.
Every weekday, we pull together the news, events, and information you need to stay on top of what's happening in the city of Fitchburg.
Find Talking Fitchburg on cable TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and our live stream on the web. Plus, you can find all our headlines and stories on Facebook, YouTube, and our video on demand service. This is your city.
Keep up with Talking Fitchburg and the issues affecting you and your neighbors.
Want to know what's happening in your city? Get Notify Me messages from the City of Fitchburg. Visit fitchburgwi.gov on your computer or mobile device and select the big Notify Me button on the left. Enter your email and/or phone number, whichever is best for you to get notifications. Scroll down the list and select all the topics you're interested in to receive email or text messages about. You'll be notified every time one of your topics is updated. Sign up for Notify Me, one more way to keep up with your Fitchburg government.
Okay, there we are. Okay, let's call this meeting of the Tree Advisory Committee to order. It's November 11th, 2025.
September, you mean?
Oh, sorry. What did I say? I've had a tough week too. September 11th, and we can acknowledge the anniversary of the terrible event that happened 24 years ago now. All right, so first thing on our list is to approve the minutes that were published for the last meeting.
I move we approve the minutes from last meeting.
Second.
Okay, all in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes from last time are approved. It doesn't, are there any public appearances for non-agenda items? Doesn't look like it to me. I guess Rich, oh, there we go. Charles.
So it seems like Craig made a motion to approve the minutes.
Yes.
And then who seconded?
At the same time, so.
Okay, all right, now today's agenda, we need to review and approve. See it up there? We need to scroll down.
I move we approve the agenda. Second.
All in favor of approving the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nope. Tonight's agenda is approved then. All right, so looks like we have 3 agenda items. The first being the urban forestry strategic plan update. Does anyone want to say anything about it?
You want to take it away, Rich? Yep.
Thank you. How is everyone doing tonight?
Very
Good.
Or this afternoon? Awesome. Wish I could be in person. Surgery that I have to take care of.
Rich, it seems you're cutting in and out a little
Can you
bit.
hear me okay?
Sometimes.
Okay. Can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Awesome. I was having headset issues earlier today, so wonderful. So my update will be brief, and I've got a few things here and a few things I would run by you to get some advice, perhaps approval. The first thing, I imagine you're aware we have an open house that's coming up in a couple weeks on the 24th. Yes?
Yeah, that's on our announcements, I think.
Yeah.
And the
So,
the flyer's in the packet.
thanks, Anna, for putting together this awesome flyer and promoting it both through the city's website. It's been promoted through various public locations, the same places that we promoted the survey, which I'll give you a brief update on also here today. And I suspect it's gone through other channels, both public and private, which is awesome. Look forward to that 2-hour event. My plan for that is to provide a brief update. I don't want to go longer than 30 minutes. I'm going to try to keep it to 20 minutes or less of giving some highlights of findings so far, things such as from our SWOT assessment. And I imagine some of you know, for example, the city of Fitchburg has excellent employees that are very dedicated to what they like to do. That's something I saw from many of the various constituents I talked with. Equipment, awesome equipment. We've looked at things like the tree inventory. Your tree population actually is at the very high end for like tree diversity. So there's a lot of cool things in your favor that are going on urban forestry wise. But survey, I'll provide an update. I'll link that also to the 2015. So the question I have for you, actually it's still on the open house. So with the open house, things such as the survey I'll talk about. I'll talk briefly about the SWOT, but then open it up for public forum. And to it's also gonna be an opportunity where, and it's not the last opportunity for people to interact, but it'll be an important opportunity to get questions, get feedback, and also allow people to respond through open comments. And the format I'm going to propose to use for that is we'll develop an online portal that people can provide commentary on concerns. That was one concern I realized on one of the goals for the survey was not to have it take a lot of time and not to have a lot of open-ended questions. That was deliberate, but not to withhold people from giving comments. The open forum or that type of approach is a way to get more of an open dialogue that you can get a sense, are you going on the right track or not with the findings you have so far. But along with that is to develop just a portal where people can provide online comments. And that was something I saw with some of the paper surveys and also in the electronic where they found ways to say, I kind of wish you had the opportunity to provide greater comments. So this all makes sense so far?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes, no?
Yes.
Awesome, thank you. So to get onto the survey, which I mentioned we'll report on at the open house, initially we had planned to close the survey on the 15th of August. And the last meeting that I was with you with, we had the community night out, and I stayed an extra day to reach out at one of the parks of the Hispanic community to get a broader, ideally, feedback from other constituents. And we decided to leave it open at that time, which I'm all for favor of keeping getting information as long as possible. But there becomes a time where you need to close out a survey. So I'm going to propose is the 15th of September, which would be this upcoming Monday, that we'll close the survey for people being able to interact with it. And there's two reasons. One is to just come to a closure. We've got a month beyond the initial August 15th date. But another is I need time to actually collect the information and analyze it. So I'm going to propose to you closing it a month later than we had initially planned, August 15th, and we expanded it to September 15th.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah. Are you still getting
Okay.
responses, Rich?
They've tailored down. I've probably in the last 2 weeks, maybe a dozen.
Okay.
Yeah, and yep, so about a dozen. And I checked yesterday. I think there was one additional one today relative to last week. So I don't anticipate. And there was a kind of an influx when you presented on your public site about the open house. It also had the link for the survey, and that did, I think, increase a few responses.
Yeah, good.
But I think we've hit the point where you could keep it open for a year from now. You could probably ask people to participate. but you're probably not going to get much response greater than we currently have.
No, that
We
sounds
also have a
completely
response. Go ahead.
That sounds completely reasonable. That sounds
Okay.
great.
And we have a response rate right now of 353 responses, which is about 1% of your community population. Is Fitchburg about 35,000? Correct me if I'm wrong.
It's about that, a little less.
Yeah, I was going to say 32,000.
Yeah.
Is that more reasonable?
Probably. Yeah,
Okay.
probably.
But the
It's
key
changing
thing,
every
whether
day.
35 or 32, we're at or slightly above 1%. And this type of survey, usually you get about a 0.5 to 1% response rate. So we're on track, slightly above what you'd expect when you have, you know, not a snowball thing, but where you actively market about this, survey to get people's opinions on their experiences with trees, their access to vegetation, things like that.
Okay.
So any questions so far of what I've talked about? Okay. The next step is all this stuff is, to me, fun stuff, because it's really about taking information and using it to guide the future. The next step certainly is developing the urban forest strategic plan. So we're in the process now of evaluating past plans. We've evaluated the ordinances, tree inventory, done a canopy assessment, but on the part of linking on what could be potential goals. And some of these goals have come out with through SWOT assessment, talking with you as a tree advisory committee, looking at survey, but also our professional expertise on types of goals that might make sense. And then, so let's say we have tree canopy as a goal, percent, and I'll just throw out a number, 32.1%. Okay, you can pick a goal, but you pick a goal and then you could see what other plans actually have tree canopy associated with it. So there may be a parks strategic plan. There may be a sustainability plan that talk about tree canopy. So then you look at these different plans, but then these plans are also associated with various committees or commissions or bureaus, depending on where you are in the country. So then you're looking at, here's the alignment with different parts of governance, and then you may have two committees or commissions that this is like it's a high level of interest, or maybe it's just more peripheral, that it's part of their mission, but it's at kind of a smaller percent, or I shouldn't even use the percent. It's at a reduced level of importance to their mission. So that's where we're going, along with developing metrics and for really evaluating. And one example could be like tree diversity, where you want to limit the number of species, okay? And we could use artificial guidelines like no more than 5% of any species, okay? And so you can use that as a metric, or you could use tree canopy, or a metric could be evaluating your governance, your code on tree-related things. And it could be once every or annually look at your code to see if there's anything that needs changing. And so those are all kind of metrics that we're going to be coming up with.
Okay. And Rich, I think
any questions for me?
We do have a tree canopy goal that's in the comprehensive plan for the urban service area of 30%. And
yeah, I thought, and I just I felt like saying 32.1 because sometimes 25 or 30 just seem kind of artificial. Not that one is at all, but yeah, and I was aware of 30%. I should have probably used that in an example. So thanks for bringing that
no problem.
to light.
I just like to mention that any opportunity I get, so people are aware.
Well, interesting enough, I had up earlier. Yeah, well, good point. Because for whatever reason, I was working on the spreadsheet, some graphs that had your tree canopy, and just a reminder, and I did present this before to y'all, that you're currently about 25-ish%, 24.7 plus minus, what do I got here? 0.8 with a standard error. So you're, somewhere between about 23.9 and 25.5 with a 95% confidence interval.
Nice.
On that. So you're moving forward. 2013, you're at 18.8%. So you're actually moving upward.
Right.
And I think that's, big artifact of all the active tree planting you've done in Fitchburg.
Absolutely.
Plus, I think conversion of some of the agricultural lands to developments also helps with canopy cover.
It does.
Any questions, anything for me, any guidance, concerns?
What do you need from us for the open house, Rich?
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up because I failed to ask that. Who's going to be in attendance? Anybody on the tree advisory committee that is able to make the open house or members?
I can't because I'll be out of town.
I can be there from 6 to 6:30, and then we have committee of the whole. But yeah, I can be there at the beginning.
Okay.
I can go there.
Out of town.
Well, wonderful. It sounds like one can be there for an extended period and another for more of the informational prospect. And I reached out to Anna about any public governance process because I think that's an important part of the rules of the game of here's the city of Fitchburg's official open meeting type of process where no one dominates any of the conversation. And so, for example, I think 3 minutes, if it's like an open comment part,
So,
using those as guidelines.
and I'll give you the speaker forms, Rich. Everyone who wants to talk has to fill out a speaker form that says who they are, where they live, and basically a brief summary of what they want to talk about, and that becomes part of the public record for the meeting. And
Okay.
I can give you blank speaker forms so you've got them, and then we have them for the meeting, and then people get their 3 minutes, and that's it. And some people get really mad, but that's how it goes.
Okay.
Or they,
Yeah. But I actually didn't. I was thinking more of a freewheeling approach where people have the opportunity to talk for, but I see you actually have a process of I provide information, and that actually makes me think prior to the meeting is if it's possible, I could between next Tuesday and sometime by the end of the week compile all this information from the survey
okay.
and have that available freehand if it could get posted on the city of Fitchburg's website.
Yeah, I think
What do
we
you
can
think
do
of
that. I think
Okay.
so. I can talk to the folks who do that. If that's
Okay.
okay.
Yeah, if you could do that. Now I've set myself up either for success or failure. If I have, let's say by the end of business, by Friday morning, have that to you, that would give at least, a few days advance where people could look at it if they choose to.
Yeah, okay. I mean, yeah, that might be a nice frame for the meeting, because I think, as we've kind of discussed, I think people are, some people are not maybe understanding exactly what it's about and thinking they're gonna come and influence things one way or another, but, that might be a good approach.
Okay.
So, yeah, I don't know, can I bring up the recent controversy?
If you want to, sure. I mean, it's definitely not going away.
Well, I don't know how to plan for it before this is done.
I didn't hear that part.
I was just a little hesitant to bring this up, but, so I'm just thinking that we want people to come to talk about this plan. So,
Yeah.
I mean, last year we had a little bit difficult process in order to get, to work on some of the trees in one specific park. So there were a group of people who came and, in a public meeting, to talk specifically about that. And they may think that this is another venue to talk about the trees in one particular park.
They will.
And I think
Yeah.
we've got some notice that they will be there to do that. So I think
Okay.
I'm just a little, I want to make sure that the general population, that everybody there gets a really good idea of exactly what this plan is and what it's about, that it doesn't get sidetracked into something that the meeting is not about.
Yeah, great point there. I mean, really, this whole plan is about providing guidance over a period of time in the future on recommendations to follow. And it's not a plan that says you need to do this as much as this is in the interest of the community to take these actions along with a time frame. And people will have an opportunity later to look at a draft plan. And so next week is not the last opportunity at all in an open public type forum meeting. There will be also a draft plan, which then will, things that make sense to make modifications from that would occur.
Okay. It sounds like you're not worried about it, Rich, which is great, and I think you can probably handle it. We just have just had experience with people coming in and hijacking meetings and steering it in a different direction, but it sounds like you've got this pretty much handled, so that's great.
Yeah, I was on faculty governance for quite some time, so I'm used to.
It strikes me that the introduction is a good time to, the beginning intro, you can set a tone and this is what we're here to talk about. And if people then use their 3 minutes to waffle about something that is off topic, it's hard to stop them.
Yeah. I got a question. Certainly as part of the public record, there's an opportunity, outside of a venue like that, I'm willing to talk beyond 8 o'clock in the evening if need be, or, it'd be outside of the official. Is that something you do or you avoid?
I don't know. It happens. I don't know if we want to necessarily do that on purpose, but it definitely happens.
Yeah, people call and talk to staff all the time. It's not against the
rules.
But the main rule is that the council isn't together without public notice.
Right.
But I think I don't think it's a problem. Yeah.
No. Okay.
It's just a question of whether you want to open yourself up to that.
I was just gonna say I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, it's more. I think I've been doing this long enough from early career days where, it's really listening to people is probably you may not agree with the end outcome, but at least if you give an opportunity to listen and maybe just leaving it to the 6 to 8 o'clock time period, and maybe it doesn't go all the way to 8, but giving people the opportunity. And I guess the worst case, if need to do another, meeting like this in the future, figure that one out when it arises.
Okay.
And this plan has a lot to go through after this open house as well. It's going to get referred to committees and it's going to go to council, so people are going to have opportunities to talk to their elders and if they need to as well. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Correct.
Yeah. There's lots of opportunities to bite the apple.
Yeah.
So in the experience of Fitchburg, so this, how the structure of the grant was, I don't know if you had a deadline where December, that's where you have to be done for the DNR's perspective.
Yep.
But we had a end of December of the final plan. Does it in Fitchburg always occur where the final plan, it just as prescribed, it follows that, or does it sometimes you go through another additional round of feedback and it gets delayed maybe to January, February?
Well,
we have a long history of delaying plans. I would say.
It's actually more normal than not, but I'd like to avoid it. Yeah, that happens a lot.
Yeah, I'm not proposing that at all, but just if out of necessity, I won't name the community out east, but we had a plan that was supposed to be done in January of, I want to say 24, and it still isn't finalized.
Yeah.
So it's finalized in our perspective. It's just going through the last phase of governance, but it's been an interesting process.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think it's going to be a question of how we want to. I think sometimes we refer things out to committees for comments as opposed to like referred.
Right.
So that could be a decision we make and how we're going to do that.
Yeah.
And then, so
I think
December is always hard too, just because we cancel the second council meeting, so like maybe it gets pushed into early January or something. But hopefully we can make a somewhat reasonable time frame.
Right.
I think the granularity of some concern I saw and maybe some of the feedback in the questionnaire was at the very local level, and a strategic plan isn't about a park or a part of a park. That's a park plan. This is an urban forest strategic plan for the city of Fitchburg. So maybe setting, that's something I was going to mention on the meeting next week. And that may alleviate some concerns of that, or not, but no.
And this,
That's all I have.
Just question.
Anything else for me?
just a confirmation, so this is recorded, this will be recorded by FACTv, is that? or
We
not?
could ask them to do that. I haven't asked them yet, but we could. They might be too busy with committee of the whole is the only thing.
Oh, right.
Okay. Well, I was gonna propose that if you could have AV people that could record it, because actually I would like to, and then
Okay, I can
record
ask.
it and then use some transcription stuff we have access to kind of summarize the meeting.
Okay. Well, I'll ask
Yeah.
FTV if they can do it, but they do have committee of the whole that night, so I don't know, but we'll figure something out.
Okay. Yeah, I think at a minimum, if it had the way to allow people's voices to be heard, and then digitize it and then transcribe it, and then use, it's not that challenging these days with some of the AI approaches to summarize kind of the gist of the meeting. So, okay.
Well, thank you for all your work on this, Rich. I think, we're on a good trajectory, and we really appreciate all your work on this.
Yeah, likewise, I appreciate all your advice and the interactions we've had today.
Yeah.
And again, everything I've been very pleased with all the assistance from the city of Fitchburg.
Yeah. And then
and the
I
tree
will
advisory
ask,
committee.
I will inquire about recording the meeting. I will get you speaker forms and all that kind of good stuff.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
I'm gonna hang on for a little bit more to see some of the other cool things you got going on.
Sounds good. Sounds good. We're always good for entertainment, if nothing else.
Okay, thank you, Rich. Let's
Thank
move
you.
on to the next agenda item, which is the fall tree planting. And
Yeah.
Anna, would you like to take that?
Yeah, so we solicited bids for fall tree planting. We got, the project is to replace ash trees in parks. This will be our final park ash replacement planting. So after this, we'll have them all replaced, which is awesome. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, it is.
It's amazing. There's 3 ash trees left in parks, 2 in Gorman Wayside and 1 in McGaw. And after that, after those 3 trees are done, we will be
Ash-free.
ash-free. But I will say, we constantly are getting more parkland through parkland dedication, and sometimes the new parcels that we get have ash trees on them. So it's a little bit of but not terrible, right? Not terrible. So sometimes we're like, but we usually just take those down right away and don't worry too much about that. But at any rate, so it's very exciting. It's a very exciting time to be planting trees because this will be, like I said, the final push to replace ash trees in parks, and it is 42 trees. These are the bids that we got. SRB Trees was the lowest bid, and he has a good track record of doing work here in the city, so we went with them. I did all the paperwork. I believe it was approved, so we should be starting to plant trees here in the next 3 weeks or so, and it's not a huge project, so it should be, you can see the variety there. We should be able to get that done in a day or 2, probably 2, I guess, and because there's a fair bit of running around involved. We also are doing another tree planting this fall in our healthy neighborhoods in Maple Lawn Heights and Traceway Drive. We are completing the canopy renovations there with the Urban Tree Alliance. So they will be, we've got it all spec'd out. We've got the partnership with the Urban Tree Alliance is pretty much ironed out. They're gonna order the trees, and Operation Fresh Start is going to plant them. Mm-hmm. I haven't gotten a time frame at this point in time, but that's gonna happen here probably late September, early October. So just like we did Southdale in the spring, this fall we're gonna finish Traceway, because there's too much construction on Traceway with the hub. We couldn't quite get everything we wanted to get done. So we're adding 10 more trees onto Traceway between Fish Hatchery and the golf course. And then we're doing a pretty solid canopy renovation in Maple Lawn Heights, which is Coho, Pike, Greenway Cross, that neighborhood. So that'll be much needed and much appreciated when we get that done. So, and that's about, I wanna say that's about the same. It's like 47 trees, I think. Maybe it's in the 50s. So altogether, we'll plant just under 100 trees this fall, And I think we're working towards that canopy goal. And you know, in 2016, when we started planting trees in Maple Lawn Heights, there weren't really any up there. So we're really, I think we're really contributing to that canopy quite a bit, which is great. And after this, we'll probably put a few more up there this spring, but most planting spaces will be occupied by a tree, which is great.
If and when we pass the neighborhood plans,
Yep.
do those neighbors get added to the urban service area immediately? And then okay, so it's only when action is taken on them.
I think so. Although South Center Prairie, isn't part of that in the urban service area already?
Maybe a small part. Well, I don't think any part of the plan is in the urban service area, but there is a portion over there, I think, that currently is. But like Greenfield doesn't get added immediately upon that. No. So that would change our canopy numbers.
It would.
Greenfield would probably change it for the better.
Yeah, I mean, Greenfield is pretty leafy. And there's not, the right-of-ways there are a little bit odd because the roads in Greenfield aren't centered on the right-of-way. So, or some of them are, maybe some of them aren't. And we have all those dead-end cul-de-sac scenarios, which I'm not sure what's going to happen with those. I mean, in theory, there's still quite a bit of right-of-way, but I don't know if we'll abandon that or keep it or what, so.
Well, there's a plan for it, but nothing's going to happen there for a long time.
Yeah.
There's no, like, imminent development coming there or anything, so.
Right. Yeah, so, but, you know, if and when they do get added, you know, we would, you know, do more trees there. Right now, it's a little iffy just because the right-of-way is a little iffy. We have replaced all the ash trees in Greenfield. We did that a couple of years ago. But, you know, we would do more if it was a situation where we had more clarity on just the right-of-way, what's going to happen there.
Okay.
So,
I have a question about ash trees. You said you're finishing up replacing ash trees in the parks.
Yep.
Well, I see a lot of ash trees on the street.
Yes, there are.
So you have a plan for replacing those?
Yes, so we have ARPA TID funding to replace those, so we did a push this past spring, and then we've been marking trees for removal this summer into this fall. We've got about 100-ish that we hope to get down this winter. I'm probably gonna have to contract that out because we just don't have the staff to do it. So I need to maybe see if I can move some of that ARPA TID money from tree planting to tree removal. I'm not sure how that's gonna work, but yeah, I mean, our limitation on that, we like I said, we have the ARPA TID money to replace them. It's just getting those trees down, getting the stumps ground, and getting the terrace restored it's a lot of work, and we don't have any staff that specifically does tree work, so it's on Public Works, and they're really busy with 1,000 things, so this gets added onto their pile, and they do, I think, a pretty good job of chipping away at it as they can, but we really haven't had this concerted remove ash trees and terraces and replace them as much as we did in the parks. So park trees are just a lot easier to take down, and you can do the whole park pretty quickly, or not necessarily pretty quickly, but without, you know, there's no stopping of traffic, there's no people having to move cars, there's none of that. It's just you can just get in there when the conditions are right and do it. And terraces are a little bit different because you have to close roads sometimes, it just takes more staff, and then you have to, the cleanup is a little bit different, like you can't leave anything, you can't be like, okay, great, this afternoon we can get this, and this done, then tomorrow morning we come back for it, like you can't do that in the terrace, you have to have enough of a window to get the whole thing completely taken care of. And stump grinding is also a little bit more tricky because there's a lot more utilities. So, and most of our parks, well, with few exception, generally when we're grinding stumps, there isn't a lot of utilities to watch out for, but in the terraces, it's gas lines and electric and fiber and everything else. So, so yeah, so there is a plan and we're working on it. It's just that our biggest factor is staff availability to actually get the trees down. So, and like I said, we do have the money to replace them, which is awesome. So that's that hurdle.
So how many ash and terraces did you say we had?
A little under 200. We did inherit a bunch when we got the town of Madison.
Right.
So we got most of those down, although there's still, so we inherited like 40 or 50, maybe 60 when we got the town of Madison. We got everything down in Southdale. We got everything down, you know, in that part of town. We still have that North Fish Hatchery area. There's, I don't know, at least a dozen, if not maybe 15, 20 ash trees that need to be addressed. And they weren't on our original plans because, you know, we didn't really have a good sense of how many ash trees we were going to get with that acquisition because the land, what we were getting kept changing and blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, so it's a little under 200, which actually is not too bad, you know, if you think about it. And
How long do you figure it'll take to replace all of them?
Well, if I can contract some removals, which is gonna be expensive, but if I can move some of that money around to contract removals, we could probably do it in 2 years. But I don't know.
If all goes well.
If all goes well. And the thing is, like, as we all know, I mean, the last couple of winters, we didn't have a lot of snow, and so Public Works really did a phenomenal job getting a lot of trees down, because they weren't plowing snow and there wasn't snow in the way. If we have a heavy snow winter, well, good luck, I mean, it changes the dynamic to get a lot of this work done. So, we'll see, and no one knows how that's gonna go, or if we have a heavy ice winter or whatever, so it'll be interesting.
Well, it's good to see the diversity of the
Thank
species
you.
being planted. Just great.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we really work at that, and we try different things, and we know it works, and we just keep kind of expanding our palette, which is great. So yeah, thank you for noticing that. We really have been working at so the crisis of ash borer has actually been an opportunity to diversify our canopy. So as we take those ash trees down, they're replaced with all kinds of different things. We didn't have State Street maple at all before. We didn't have that many coffee trees. We had some, but not many. Didn't have any kitsuras. We had very few. We had no tulip trees. We had very few ironwood. We had very few plane trees. So we're really trying to get different things going and try different things and see what works and keep on moving forward.
And I'm always reminded that protects our investment.
It does.
Investment in trees.
Absolutely.
With the diversity.
Absolutely.
Okay, if that's all we have to say on the fall tree planting, let's move on to the third agenda item, the Parks and Forestry Manager position.
Yeah, so, whoops, sorry about that. So this is the memo from City Administration. So I think a lot of you know that in June, the park director retired, and in a couple years back in 2023, we had underwent a staffing study by Baker Tilly, and Baker Tilly had looked at, staffing across the entire city and had made a lot of different recommendations. One of them was to change that park director job to be a park manager job under Public Works, and have my position and the park maintenance supervisor report to that park manager job in the Department of Public Works. So with that retirement, they were the HR administration decided they were going to go ahead and do that, and so the park and forestry, so it got changed from a parks director to a parks and forestry manager position that will report, instead of reporting to the city administrator, it reports to the director of public works. So kind of that those changes are outlined in this memo. At the September 3rd Personnel Committee, they did approve it, and that job is currently open, so open for recruitment. So basically forestry is, I guess to boil it down, forestry is getting moved into public works.
Does that make sense to you?
There's lots of different ways to do things. I think we will find efficiencies and operational efficiencies potentially, which will be fine. It doesn't make a lot of sense to have me in parks and then all the people who do the forestry work in public works. That was always a little bit clunky and not as smooth as maybe it could or should have been. So it's how it goes. And my take on it is, change is inevitable. You manage it, and it is progress. And if you don't, it's crisis. So I've been trying to manage this from a efficiency standpoint and where we can find different efficiencies and tighten up different things, because the work is not getting less; it's getting more and more and more. And staff staff resources aren't going to be able to keep up.
That seems like that's a major problem. I mean, that is always a huge challenge, is that there are not many staff to do all of the physical work required with caring for trees.
Not even close. Yeah, not even close. So hopefully in this situation we can find some efficiencies and moving forward. And we'll see. I mean, who knows how it's gonna go? I think it'll be okay. I don't know. I mean, we'll see.
Gotta try it. See
Yeah.
how it works.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe we'll be having this conversation in a couple years to move it back. I have no idea. I don't know. But so that's kind of the latest on that situation. I guess I won't get moved until this position is hired and getting going, and then they'll move me, so it's not like I'll just be, so a little bit of an orphan, but that's okay. I'm kind of used to that.
But it's actually the creation of a new position.
Yeah, it
That's the
basically
part
is.
that kind of confusing.
What was that?
You're physically going to move?
Well, I don't know. There's really kind of nowhere for me physically to move to, I don't think, but maybe, I don't know.
But
I mean,
instead of creating a forestry department and a parks department, there's a new position, which is manager over both parks and forestry.
yeah.
That's the confusing part about what,
And then
how that's,
recreation is moving
Yes.
to the recreation.
Yeah.
So
And what?
Jill,
I'm
so
sorry.
recreation is moving under Jill at the senior center. That's gonna be like senior center and recreation department. So that's another change. But physical movement, I mean, what they're doing over there right now is breaking ground in the police station. So once the police station is done, then the police will move out of there and then we'll renovate City Hall. So there could be a lot of physical movement, I guess, over the next couple of years.
Yeah.
But I think you're gonna move out of this building or anything, but.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think they'll move me to the shop or anything, because there's no room down there, but I don't think. But yeah, so will I physically move? I don't know. I mean, I've been moved a couple of times since I've been here, but it's how it goes. I guess I think there's bigger fish to fry than worry about this, to be perfectly honest, in my mind, but we'll see. I don't know. And, as Rich said, we've been planting trees like maniacs for almost 10 years now, and we really do need to kind of figure out, some maintenance situations and things of that nature, and maybe this will facilitate some of that. I don't know. So, we'll see.
Okay, let's move on then to the report from the forestry department.
Yep, this is what I've been up to, I guess. I always forget all kinds of stuff. So August was getting the project together, getting it out to bid, getting the bids back, getting it all tabulated, and also there was a little bit of a, I was watching a lot of meetings because I was really curious what was going on with this job, because we knew the Baker Tilly study was out there. Scott had retired. We didn't really know, what are they gonna do? Are they gonna leave it the same? So there's just a lot of in the ether, a lot of well, it could go, this way, it could go that way, they could do this, they could do that. And with recreation changing, it's just okay, anyway, so there was just a lot of, anticipation of change as well. So, hence me watching a lot of meetings. But, one kind of cool thing that happened in forestry is that HR organized this Youth Government Week, which is really kind of an interesting thing to do, to get kids interested in potentially, government jobs and this sort of thing. A group of, I think they're junior high kids, about 20 of them came and spent a week here and did different, with each department they did different things, and we did a tree walk and planted a tree, which was really kind of cool, and it was great to get those kids, kind of like Arbor Day, get them interested, get them going, kind of explain what urban forestry is, what an urban forester does, and different aspects of working for a municipality, including planting trees. So that was really kind of cool. Glad to be part of that. And we did a fair bit of work also with the survey, getting the word out for the survey, going to community night out, getting lots of surveys distributed, going to Southdale Resource Fair, getting surveys distributed there. We had flyers all over the parks. Every single park shelter had a flyer on it. Hey, please fill out the survey. And then after this, so I didn't realize the survey was still open. So after I thought it closed, we took all those flyers down and we put up open house flyers. So anyway, I didn't realize it was still open, but that's fine. So that was a fairly something that was that was good to do. That took some time, and then I did do some grant reporting. I don't know if we want to apply for a Million Trees grant next year or not. We can decide. I think that it opens up in November, so we can decide if we want to do that again or not. I think it's been very successful. We've gotten a lot of trees planted with that money. I don't know if we want to, because it takes that volunteer committee and all that stuff, but I don't know if we want to do that again or not. But I got all those reporting materials in, and apparently it's good enough. They haven't told me we're missing anything, so that's good. And then one thing that's kind of cool is we have a new work order system. Our last work order system, it's one of those things where technology is good and helpful, but it takes a lot of support, and we do all of our stuff in ArcGIS because we already have that software. So our last system, which was about 6 or 7 years old, was Workforce through ArcGIS, but then Arc stopped supporting it. They stopped updating it, so it stopped working for us. And it actually caused a lot of problems, because like I put work orders in there, I would ping Public Works, hey, just put a bunch of work orders into Workforce, blah, 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 this is what they are. They couldn't see them or whatever, it was just kind of like, it wasn't working the way it was supposed to be working, and I couldn't fix it. So our GIS person said, well, that's because ARC is no longer supporting it, they're gonna retire it. I'm like, oh, good to know. And so we are actually using a different ARC product, which is Field Maps, and it's a little bit different, but it should be fine. The nice thing about Field Maps is you can have the tree inventory in there, and so you can like select the tree that needs to get worked on, whereas in Workforce you have this like the parcel, and the tree was there, but it wasn't always super clear. So so that's good. So I think that'll be great, but that's been a lot of working through things and working with Public Works to kind of figure out what's the best way to do this and blah, blah, blah. So anyway, it's been kind of interesting.
It's really good.
Yeah, it is good. It is really good. And I think, we just have to keep working through the issue that we have. Like, so my phone is too old to do that software in the field, because you need 30% accuracy, and like I'm at 35 right now, and it says GPS accuracy 35.6 feet, 30 feet required. So I can't do this with a Trimble handheld GIS, which isn't a big deal. But so so I always have to have that Trimble with me if I'm going to do this in the field, which I don't mind, that's fine, but that's just, there's a cost to that, and then we only have one Trimble, so you either have to have an updated phone.
Can you explain what it is?
So it's just, I just plug my phone onto it, and then then the Trimble is actually getting the satellites and is getting the accurate GIS point instead of my phone trying to do it, because my phone is it's
Is
5
that
or
your
6.
personal phone?
No, this is my city phone, but it's probably 6 years old, so it's a little bit, I mean, it still works fine, but it's a little too dated, I think, to run that GIS. Anyway, it's yeah, but it's good. It's a good step in the right direction. So I think, and then hopefully, getting back to efficiencies, Public Works can see those better. They can hopefully maybe run themselves a little bit better. We only do, hopefully taking a look at these trees once. Blah blah blah. We'll see.
What does a Trimble cost?
Well, interestingly, so our ArcGIS guy was at a conference, and he was able to get it through a silent auction, like at a huge.
Oh my God.
I don't know. They're like $700 or $800 or something, and I think he got it for a much I think he got it for $80 or something. So I think, which was nice. So that was great, and the software is like $50 a month, or something like that, which isn't crazy. And I'm grateful to have it. And the other part of that, which has been awesome, since we've had that Trimble and we can get 2-foot accuracy, we've been updating trees like crazy. We'll be in a park, we'll be like, that tree isn't over there, it's over here, and we, make it more accurate. And so there's been times where I've been out in parks, running around with the Trimble, deleting points, putting points where they're supposed to be, updating everything, then updating sizes and updating canopy and all this stuff. So it's been a really nice tool to have to get a more accurate tree data. And then we realized too, not all of our ash trees that were removed were taken out of the inventory, and then some trees that were in the inventory aren't really actually are not in the right of way, and blah 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 blah. So having that accuracy has been really nice, and it allowed us to do a lot of different things that we couldn't do before. So that's great.
It's really good to hear.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. And I'm hoping that we can get a public-facing part of the tree inventory so people can kind of see the trees in their neighborhood.
That would be great.
Wouldn't it be cool? So, so that's something maybe we can work towards. I don't want to, I feel like I've gone to the JS well many times this summer, so I don't want to be like, me again. How about another big project? So I'm just kind of keeping that to myself for now. So anyway. So that's kind of it. And then we've got all kinds of cool stuff going on naturalist-wise. We did do, if anyone is interested, I know I showed you last week, our last meeting, the final project for the turf replacement in McGaw Park. That kind of is a example of putting native plants in instead of turf that we have to mow. It needs to be weeded again, but it does look pretty good. And it kind of shows what you could do, as some of you are aware, with 2-year plants, wow, they look awesome in a short amount of time. So that's kind of an interesting thing we finished up this year.
I have a question.
Sure.
Do you know if there's an ordinance that would prevent people on their private property, the terraces are private, but preventing the replacement of grass on their terrace in front of their house?
Potentially, I mean, I don't, the municipal code does have, I forget what it is, it's, lawn is there is maintenance, property maintenance parts of the municipal code that involve height of grass. And I'm not 100% sure what it is. So potentially, unless they're.
Because that question comes up in the neighborhood.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. And of course in Madison, a lot of times people do replace their grass with plants.
You know, Madison it's soup to nuts. If you look at the terrace of Madison, you could have a big planter there. You could have a rain garden there that's actually dug out. You could have, you know, tomatoes. You could have pumpkins. You could have, you know, all kinds of stuff. So yeah, you're right. The terraces in Madison are there. It's a broad range. And I don't know if they changed their ordinance or I don't know how it works there.
Okay.
So anyway, so but just to cap on that, like I always wondered. So you know, when I take my son into cello lessons or going to Madison for whatever, I always think like, what if the Forest Service will put a tree there and there's a big planter? Like, what? Who wins? I don't know.
Trees always win.
You would hope.
Yeah.
You would hope. But then what happens to the planter? They just bulldoze it? I don't know. Anyway, so that's kind of the long story longer with what's been going on, which has been quite a bit.
I have a question about one of the bullet points in the forestry section.
Sure.
About Kyle Steigert.
Oh,
Ask about that one as well.
okay. Yep, good
Greenway.
point.
Yeah, I was
So-
surprised to see that you're involved with fundraising.
No.
That there's what?
Um,
I facilitated some fundraising.
It should say fundraising. Where is
What
it?
was that? Oh, a donation.
It says
So-
facilitated a donation.
Yeah, so, okay, so what happened was they wanted to start, so we finally have a site plan that just came in yesterday for that project that's gotta go to MMSD for approval. So that's good within the context of this project. But during this growing season, they really did wanna start doing some vegetation management. And administration said, okay, you can donate the money for that and we can facilitate it. Like they donated the money. I talked to the contractor did it. They haven't billed me yet, but when they do bill me, I'll pay them with that donation. However, administration did say like, hey, just realize nothing is approved. Like if you want to do this, we'll allow it on this parcel. However, nothing is approved and MSD could shut the whole thing down. So, but if you want to make some traction this year, that's fine. So that's kind of how that happened.
Where does it go for approval?
I'm not sure. I think I think MMSD has to look at the site plan and, because the thing is, which is, I just find interesting, is that
What's MMSD?
The sewer district.
Yeah, so the whole reason that this is, not the whole reason, but a big reason this is an outlot is that there's sewer infrastructure on this lot. And so, in theory, I do believe MMSD is planning to.
That's the city, right? Or is it the?
Madison.
It's Madison.
Madison Metropolitan Sewer District is the, yeah.
Okay.
So they are planning to upgrade the infrastructure in 2040, which means this whole thing gets ripped up at that time.
Oh,
Where is this?
It's off of the Cap City Trail.
Off of Yarmouth, up
yeah.
by,
Yeah.
right, up behind Rose Common Park. It's the area of Yarmouth that stretches at the upper end of Rose Common Park. Longford's on one end and Yarmouth is one street over on the.
To north of McKee.
Yeah.
North of what?
McKee.
So we'll see. I don't know. Yeah, so that's what that was all about. That was just getting there, getting the contractor's W-9, getting all the paperwork set up, getting them in the database as a contractor, physically taking the check to finance, getting the receipt, sending the receipt to them, all of that stuff.
Wasn't the sewer infrastructure, like, it wasn't even in use, right? Wasn't it old? It was like old sewer infrastructure, right?
So there's been a lot of talk about it. What my understanding is that it is in use. It's to keep. So it's when I'm gonna say this wrong, so I don't want to say too much, but it is in use, but it isn't part of the. It's not like it's got water and everything else flowing through it all the time. It's to keep. It's in case things need to go from one end or the other.
Okay.
So, but apparently it's getting upgraded in 2040.
So what happens when it gets upgraded?
I think the whole thing gets ripped up.
But then who puts it back?
Well, MMSD does, but they're not. I would highly doubt if they put any infrastructure back in that this project is. I mean, I don't know, but
It's at like one end of the thing. I mean, you just want to design around, knowing that it's gonna.
that would be the smart thing to do. That would be the smart thing to do, I guess. I don't know, but it's just been interesting because like with this project, like the fact that infrastructure there you'd think would be front and center, but it has not been really. So anyway, yeah, I don't have a whole lot of no, nothing. So, but anyway, so that's the whole. I was so just to clarify, I was not fundraising. I just took the donation check, got it to finance, and I will, when the invoice comes in from the contractor, I will pay them with that money. So.
Yeah, so my understanding is that, I mean, that is the way it's donations are used for everybody now. I mean, anybody who donates technically they get approval from the city and then give the city staff the money, and the city staff is responsible for doing the hiring.
Yes.
With that money.
And paying, right, exactly. So, and that was a big sticking point, but we finally, I guess, got over that hurdle with this project, so.
Right. And that really is consistent with the way it's been done and the way it's done with in other donation situations.
Well, and it's what the city attorney tells us what we have to do, so we kind of have to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like, all right.
Who's gonna argue with the attorneys?
I'm not. No. So
Good.
anyway.
I'm glad it's uniform now.
Yes.
Well, hopefully. I mean, like, well, stranger things have happened. At any rate, so I guess that kind of comes to the end of the packet, but there are some announcements, I think, if we want to move to that.
Yeah, let's move on to announcements.
So I was just going to say, I have been in contact with the City of Madison Forester about their ordinance changes that are going on, and he said it's been going through their committee, their referral process. It's been getting approved so far. The final vote for council is next Tuesday. So once it finally gets approved and we know if there's any changes or what actually gets approved, maybe we want to put it on our agenda and talk about what they're doing. It didn't really make a whole lot of sense to do it before they did that because it could have changed. So, and basically, just to refresh your memory, that's basically they're changing some of their city ordinances to make damage to trees have more teeth, and that if you do damage trees in construction or other things, you have to pay into a tree replacement fund is kind of the gist of it, kind of boiling it down to just the pretty granularly, but that's kind of the big point. So anyway, that might be of interest. And obviously we've got the open house on the 24th. If people can come, that would be awesome. There will be other opportunities as well. This is kind of the first, I hope, of 3.
Do you have an idea when the next one will be?
No, I don't.
I'd like to build my schedule around it.
Right.
If I can know ahead of time, I would do that.
Well, and this one was scheduled for a different date, and then a few things popped up in the calendar that we had to change, so it ended up being a committee of the whole, and I'm just like, well, it's like, ugh, man, I can't, I didn't know what else to do. I mean, that seemed like the least worst option. So, because it ended up getting scheduled, and then there was a listing discussion that popped up, I'm like, we can't compete with that, and then I was just like, because I don't think, we'll see, I don't know, it'll be interesting. Yeah. And to be honest, like, since we're starting at 6, people can come and make their comment and make their paper and go to committee of the whole if they really want to, and the proximity is pretty close. I mean, like, that's completely physically possible if you want to go and say, like, I feel super strongly about this, and fill out your speaker form, make your comment, and then get yourself to committee of the whole. So I was like, well, that's not the end of the world. It's not like the best, but if we waited for a perfect date, we'd be.
There is no such thing.
There is no
perfect
such
date, no. No.
So, at any rate.
Could you remind me what our next meeting dates are for this committee?
9th, the October 9th is our next meeting.
And we don't have one in November or December, is that gonna be a problem with the?
I don't know. That's a good question. Let's see, yeah, so.
What I was just hearing when Rich was talking about the, December deadline, and if there is a comment from committees, period, I don't know if it might be too late to do anything about it at this point anyway, but if we only have a meeting in October, we probably won't have another chance to
comment,
to really look through it or comment as a committee, which.
So we're for sure having the October meeting?
well, I was gonna say, I mean, we could change.
I have a hole in my calendar.
Yeah, I mean, we could change, because what we had talked about is maybe changing that to later in the year for exactly that reason.
Yeah.
Which we could do. I mean, I don't want to pull the rug out for people who, have pretty tight calendars, but that's an option. If we can say like, well, because the urban forestry plan is meeting in October, we would rather meet in November for that reason.
I think that makes sense, but I'm certainly not the decision maker on that either. So.
No, I mean, because we can only have one more meeting, right?
Yeah.
So, because you haven't canceled any this year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it almost makes sense to do it.
In November.
Yeah, or even December. I mean, we could just.
And that'd be
set it
fine
for
too.
November and see
No,
what
we
you
have the
can
option of November, sorry.
November or December instead
November or
of.
December.
Yeah,
Yeah. So December might be, like you say, December might be better.
it's the second Thursday,
Would
right?
be the
Typically.
11th,
So it would be the,
11th.
Of December.
I like to put question marks on these things.
Yeah, no, that's a
Even though
really
it's
good
not
idea.
as gone,
Right.
it's like it's a question mark, and you're right, build around it. You can.
so I can't be there December 11th, but that's neither here nor there.
So do you guys want to,
Maybe we move to the November and then determine,
Yeah.
punt that decision at least a
I
little
think it
bit
makes
further.
sense to do at the very least November, and then
Right.
we can see how things are moving along.
yeah, I can change it now, no problem. Well, I shouldn't say no problem. It's not a big deal for me to change it. I just don't know. I just have to make sure FACTv is available and everything, but since we're, in our room availability and things like that, but I don't think it'll be a big issue because we've had to do this in the past and we handled it very well, I thought, as a committee. So.
What did he say? I didn't really get that. Is this supposed to be done by the end of the year?
It is. The grant runs out, so the grant wants a deliverable by December 31st. So the way the contract is written, they're supposed to have it by that last council meeting of the year.
Does deliverable mean approved at council, or does it mean
No.
receipt? Okay.
No, it doesn't.
That's a very good
No, it
clarification.
doesn't. It means we have a pretty solid.
It means Rich is done.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So,
Did it go to the committee of the
Question
whole
mark,
first?
I'm trying,
Is that what it was?
I don't know if we need to go to committee of the whole.
No.
I did, because the other thing is if it's gonna get referred out to other committees, December's a tough.
It is tough.
It's just like, that's,
Yeah.
So really, it probably won't get adopted till January for that exact reason.
Yep,
So,
okay.
so November would be good,
so,
correct?
what do you guys think?
I think we should try November and then see, we can adjust.
Okay.
And then,
Makes sense to me.
Okay,
so,
I will look into that. And then, are you guys a little bit flexible if November, is it November 13th?
Oh,
Oh, if there's no availability.
Yeah, if for whatever reason, there's something else on that day.
well, the other thing we could,
FACTv isn't available or something.
Yeah.
I mean, what about the first week of December, if we think that's better? If the second week doesn't work, are we allowed to do that?
We could.
I don't know what people think about that. If you're
All
available.
Thursdays
then-
are pretty much the same on my calendar, so
They're all crazy.
they're all just Thursdays.
Yeah,
Doesn't
right.
make a difference to me which one we pick.
What would be helpful is to know as soon as possible.
Well, so let me get with Rich and kind of get a time frame
See what it's saying.
and see what he
Yeah.
says.
Right,
And to be honest, I bet he'll say like December will probably be better. I just have a
Yeah.
feeling.
right.
So, and the thing is like, if the calendar is open, we can, as long as FACTv is available, we can, and the room is available.
Right.
We don't have to be the second Thursday.
Right, but can I ask this again, would the first Thursday work
Of December,
because the second doesn't work for me?
December 4th.
It's just, I know I was gonna
I
play.
think it could work, yeah.
Unless you want.
One of
One
it is
night,
again,
one
no
play.
one is
Yeah.
bad.
One night only.
Yeah, yeah. It's, who wants to think about that? Busy month.
Yeah, so, okay, well, let me touch base with Rich, and then and to your point, as soon as possible, we need to kind of get this nailed down so people know.
That's always helpful.
Yeah,
Well, I have another question too. So I assume that, so Rich will have a draft of the plan before the public forum.
on the 24th, I doubt it.
No.
I don't think so, because he's making the plan according to what
To
people are
get him
telling
put-
him.
He's not even had the data for another 4 days,
Right.
so yeah.
And he's,
So, yeah, that's a good question. Yeah,
I thought it was the first two.
Yeah.
I thought it was the first that we were closing, and that's why I
Right.
was telling people, so I guess it's still open.
but better question, what I wanted to ask is when he has a draft, will we all get a copy of it to look at it? I'd like to be able to look at it before we have meet together
Sure.
formally.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
too difficult for me to process everything
In
at
real
the
time.
same time, you know, as
Yep.
a meeting. And I know you get it ahead of time, but yeah, it's.
I don't see
Like
why
it's
not.
That would be great. I mean, you know, we can understand it's a draft.
Right.
Right.
I don't see why not. Thank you for coming. Thank you for joining us.
Are you gonna pick up that?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Bye-bye, Hazel.
See you later. Yeah.
What was the latest conversation of saying we might do what?
So we're talking about potentially changing our meeting from October 9th to December, potentially November, potentially December, just so we can review the plan before it goes to any other committees. So but I was gonna talk to Rich and just say like, hey, Rich, what's the best time frame? Get a sense from him, and then let you all know.
Yeah, let's do that, and then, see what's best for.
Because you know, it's been, I mean, Rich is awesome, it's been an interesting process, but sometimes I'm just like exactly, oh, the survey's still open, okay. Which is fine, it's not a big deal, but it's like, interesting. Yeah, so, and then we'll know kind of what to target, I guess, what kind of date to target. And in terms of getting a draft before, yeah, I mean, that's pretty standard. You know, if you think about the sustainability plan, the drafts were out for quite a while.
Yeah.
For comments and things of that nature. So that should be fine. I don't see a problem with that.
Okay, good.
And I don't, you know, we'll see. It's this is not a big deal, but like changing forestry into public works in the middle of this process, not that that's a big deal, but it's just like, you know, it just shows how everything is constantly in motion. So trying to like freeze time is really hard. To say like,
Free time is really hard.
yeah, to freeze time. Because when we did our SWOT analysis, that's before we knew what was going to happen. So I did say, I'm like, uncertainty is one of our biggest challenges. Well, now we know.
No one has been able to freeze time since the beginning of history.
Exactly. So anyway,
Definitely.
yeah, right. It just is.
I have one question before we end.
Sure.
There was a question last time about Irish Lane. Does anyone have any additional questions about Irish Lane? That, like, the reconstruction of Irish Lane project?
Yeah, it didn't come up at the last meeting, and Anna said she didn't know anything about it.
Turned
I
on my
know.
phone too.
What would you like to know? I sent an email about it, I know like about just
Yeah.
kind of some details
Yeah.
about it. I didn't know if there were any like additional follow-ups or anything that people had that they wanted information on. It's not scheduled until 2029 currently, so.
It's not what?
It's scheduled until 2029,
Okay.
so that's the current.
But a tree survey will be part of it.
I mean, I can't imagine it wouldn't be, so, I mean, that is a big enough reconstruction that it's like, that's one of those where they do the planning in 1 year and then the actual construction in the next year. There's a ton of oak trees on that street, and there's a very engaged population on
Of
Irish Lane
residents.
to residents,
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean, I imagine that there will be.
I think that's great. What I'd like the city to be able to do is I'd like them to have some options about how to develop an area like that. And part of the decision-making I would like to see is what is the cost of trees? And can we get what we want by taking down fewer mature trees? That's what I would like the city to be able to do.
Yeah, and I mean, like, the development part of it is a whole nother, because that's part of like the neighborhood plan and everything, but just from the reconstruction of Irish Lane, it's not really, it may get wider from a bike lane perspective, but it's not, you know, it's more or less kind of within the boundaries of the existing
Okay.
one.
So we shouldn't have
There's
to move.
a lot of moving parts to the Irish Lane project right now, because there's like grant funding for the bike lanes, and that affects the timing, and then there's sewer and water projects with it too, so that could also affect the tree situation. So it's in process, but we're also quite a few years away from it, so I imagine there'll be more to come when it's actually kind of moving along.
All right, and if there's a role for us in that.
Sure, yeah, I mean, like when that project happens, I can make sure to pay attention and refer it out, yeah, so, sure.
Okay, great. Thank you for asking.
Okay, if nobody else wants to say anything, we can have a motion for adjournment.
I motion that we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Any opposed? We have adjourned at about 5:10.